what's up, man? It's your homie Bang back with part two. Back with part two of that image, man. And addiction we have to it. So check it. And one thing, let me say this too. And I don't even celebrate Christmas no more, man. But you know, to each their own. To y'all celebrating the holidays, you know. Hope y'all have a peaceful and good holiday and all that, right? But I wanted to say one thing. I could remember and shit, you know, when Christmas was good way back, you know, growing up. You know how all the family and shit, you know, some people got family members come in from out of state, out of town or whatnot, and come in everybody all in one house over the you know, holiday weekend, or you know, a few days whenever the holiday, you know, fall or whatnot, Christmas Eve, you know, Christmas and up to the New Year, right? So I remember though one thing, and I know everybody, at least in America, can identify with. Remember those, you know, nights, like maybe be 2 nights. Some people do it 2 nights before. Some people do it on Christmas Eve when you pass that first present. Everybody get to open at least one present and shit. Remember that? And so I remember that. I'm like, damn. I remember, you know, Christmas Eve. Most of our time it was Christmas Eve. And then, you know, in 2 days out, it was like Christmas Eve. All right, we can open up one present. And you know, most of the time you was handed the present you can open. And most of the time when you open the motherfucker, what is it? Fucking PJs. So I was just saying this to say this, man. It's a good night, man, to be in your motherfucking PJs, man. To be in your house chilling, man. You know, nice and comfy, man. You know, feeling good, doing you. Put on your PJs, man, and enjoy yourself, man. Cuddle up with some eggnog, with some hot cocoa, whatnot, man, and do your holiday shit with your kids or, you know, loved ones or whatever. You know, if you into the holiday thing like that. But yeah, I was just saying, I remember the PJ thing, man. It's a good night for PJs. Everybody being their PJs and shit. Christmas Eve and Christmas morning and shit, and you know, so it was a big thing, man. Shout out to everybody out in their PJs tonight, man. Anyway, let's get back to the task at hand, man. So we talking about image, right? And so when you think about image, man, like I said, it goes further than the outer appearance, you know, the physical and the material image that we portray or we project out into the world, right? And so if you put that in a psychological aspect, it's more about the thought pattern, the conscious and the unconscious awareness that we all have, and I start talking more about that. But so if you put it in a psychobiological aspect, and the definition of psychobiology is the study of the biological basis of the mind, emotions, and mental processes. And so when you put it in a biological, a psychobiological aspect, it goes more into more of a psychological thing then. And so when you come to psychology, the definition of psychology is the science of mental processes and behavior, and the emotional and behavioral characteristics of an individual, group, or activity. And so the biological and the psychological aspect of this is what I'm gonna get more into. And so the definition of psychological is of or relating to psychology, of relating to or derived from the mind or emotions. And so let's get into the psychobiological and psychological aspect of image and what all this derives from, where we get this thought about image, what this come from. And like I said before, we all know it comes from way back, from generations and on in the past and to us. So uh in the past, you know, we was all right here. Like I said, weighed up or looked at in some type of class, and that's where you get the classes from. You know, back then it wasn't a middle class; it was just upper class and poor class. You know, lower class. And so that's where you get the have and the have-nots, and that's where the image stuff all became more popularized, or you know, more popular when the richer folks start dressing up, and you know, to show their wealth and appearance, to show uh, and material things that they was prosperous or successful. And so the lower class, you know, image was of poor existence, of to have nothing, and you know, a whole different look, basically. And I'll get more into that. I don't want to mess everything up what I'm trying to do here. So image. So image ties us to our persona or our person. Our person ties us to our personality. And the definition of personality, and you know, for those who don't know offhand, the personality is individuality, distinctive individual qualities of a person. And so our personality ties us to our individuality, or our individuality ties us to our character. And so, like I said, the personality, the definition is individuality, distinctive individual qualities of a person. And that's just a short, you know, one little definition of it, just the main ideal of it. And then so I was going on to say, so image ties us to our person or our persona. Our person ties us to our personality. Our personality ties us to our individuality. Our individuality ties us to our character. And so the definition of character is a distinctive trait or quality, one's pattern of behavior or personality. And so it all goes back to sharing these qualities within personality, individuality, character, and image or persona. And so when we go to the definition of traits, since when we say character is a distinctive trait or quality, the definition of trait is a distinguishing quality or characteristics. And so even trait, all of it goes back in a full circle, and trait is a characteristic, is connected to character. Character is connected to individuality. Individuality is connected to personality. Personality is connected to individuality. individuality is connected to our personality and our persona. And so, uh, and so then our character ties us to our ego. And ego, this is where most of this, or a majority, or a large percent of this conversation is going to head, is dealing with the ego. And so the definition of ego in a short paragraph, there's something that multiple definitions. In psychoanalysis, the ego is the part of the psyche which consciously controls the impulse of the ID. And so when we say the ego is part of the psyche which consciously controls the impulses of the ID, the definition of impulse is a sudden inclination to act without conscious thought. In physiology, a stimulus transmitted in a muscle or nerve which causes or inhibits activity in the body. And so the definition of impulse again is a sudden inclination to act without conscious thought. And then they say in the teaching or learning of physiology, a stimulus, it is a stimulus transmitted in a muscle or a nerve which causes or inhibits activity in the body. The ego. So our ego molds our character. Our character, our personalities, our demeanor, our sense of humor, our self-esteem or lack of self-esteem, our sense of self-awareness, our perceived sense of reality, our self-worth, and controls our fight or flight senses. All connected to our zodiac signs, in which influence our state of being and our soul source. And so this is what I've been learning, as far as me, doing research, and I just kind of put this together right here, and kind of in my own words of what I learned about the ego. And like I said, the ego, our ego molds our character, our personalities, our demeanor, our sense of humor, our self-esteem or lack of self-esteem, our sense of self-awareness, our perceived sense of reality, our self-worth, and controls our fight or flight senses. And all these, the ego, the personality, the character, and the individuality, and all these connect to our zodiac sign, in which influence our state of being and our soul source. And I get more into the zodiac and how that influence our person, our soul, or who we are. And so then it go, and so from a baby up to age 7, we are, like a sponge. From age 7, from a baby to age 7, we soak up everything around us in our surroundings, like the people that surround us, our environment, our neighborhood, our communities. All the way up to age 7, we just take up what we see and what we hear, and we, collect that into us, and we start kind of either trying to duplicate or trying to be like or act like or in some form of fashion use what we learned through those ages as we start to develop our cognitive abilities. And so, uh, from a baby up into age 7, we like a sponge, learning ways and beliefs of our surroundings. And so, like I said, we collect, everything around us, and we learn from that, and that's how we start to develop our person, our persona, or who we are, the image, or this person or being, our character, our personalities. And so this continues throughout our life. And so we imitate, idolize, and try to be like people we admire or look up to. And so that's going to say, like what I was saying, as a kid, when you're growing up, it's certain individuals that capture your attention for some reason or another. And those are most of the times the people you try to imitate or want to be like, or do some kind of acts or act like they do in some form of fashion. But up to 80% of our thoughts throughout our day are not our own. And so this is, as we develop and grow up as youth and young adults and up until now, 80% of what we think about every day is not our own thoughts. These thoughts are kind of developed throughout our day of listening to the radio, looking at television, looking at movies, looking on the internet, social media, talking to other people, conversations with people, phone conversations, texts. And so, and not only from through that day, but the night before, and as we go into a sleep state, all the things from that day kind of builds up in our conscious mind, and it kind of feeds into a cycle, and it's a continuous thing. Like every day, we think of the same thing. When you wake up in the morning, you think, what you want to eat. Got to get the kids to school. Got to go to work. Got to fight the traffic. Got to get off work. Got to pick up the kids. Got to go home. Got to cook dinner. And so these are patterns that we start to form, and in between time, the ads and everything else that we kind of giving attention to through our daily life, or as entertainment and all that. Those ideas that come from those are in our mind, and so we have all these different ideas in our mind that we probably think that are our own, but actually are things that we consume or pick up throughout our day, throughout our week, and form some type of idea or theory about it. And so, let me go on. So the majority of people in the world, lifestyle and social behaviors is influenced by social pressures, society's expectations, and a political atmosphere driven by trend, popularity, and competition. So this where material things come in and how we physically show ourselves to the world. And so, like I said, when I was saying this, basically, majority of people's lifestyle is based off what I was just saying. That 80% of what we think throughout the day are not our own thoughts, and so these thoughts are driven by the social behaviors and influences by social pressures and society's expectations and a political atmosphere, and driven by trend, popularity, and competition. And so these are the things that feed our daily thought process: competition, popularity, expectation, social pressures, society's uh, uh, politics, being politically correct, and so forth. And then I got some more stuff that's gonna go on talking about this too. So I'm gonna end this one right here. This is part 2, and I'm gonna come back with part 3, and we gonna continue this motherfucking conversation, man. I appreciate y'all listening to me, man. Stay tuned to part 3, man. It's gonna go on deeper. Yeah.